Welcome back to Build Biology. Today we have a legendary automobile here that sparked an entire movement. Let's go check it out. What's up, RJ?
How you doing, John?
High five.
Good to see you.
What did you bring today?
I brought a 1969 Chevy Camaro. It's known as Big Red, and it's a project me and my dad have been working on since 1987.
So humble, so humble. This car is like, it is legendary and it is huge. It's huge to the space. Tell us more about it.
It is known for starting Pro Touring, and it's known as Pro Touring car number one. We originally put it in the La Carrera Classic down in Mexico, and a lot of people didn't expect that much out of it because it's just a 69 Camaro. But we beat all the Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and we really made a name for the car. And in fact, we did go over 200 miles an hour. And they outlawed us from that race, and we started the Silver State Classic. We were the record holder in that at 198 mile an hour average over 96 miles.
That's impressive, dude.
It really began its life as a road race car. Right now I'm bringing it to you, and it's set up for full speed, flat out top speed runs. And this is what we'll do at Bonneville. It's what we run Mojave Mile, Texas Mile. We have had the car, the fastest it's ever gone at Mojave Magnum was 266.2 miles an hour. But we're also very proud of the fact that we put it into a lot of different types of events. Virginia City Hill Climb, Pikes Peak, we did 1108 and got to the top of the hill. And we do a lot of the airport events like Texas Mile, like the Arkansas Mile, like Mojave. We keep trying to push what we do with the car and trying new events and keep trying to beat new records. We did just get the record at Bonneville at 258.2. If we want to go back, we think we can actually get the car to even go faster.
You often find yourself on the side of the road, broken down, in need of tools, but no way to carry them?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, orders $50 or more at Hoonigan.com, you will get this roadside repair bag. You can even put things in it, like tools, puppies. Hoonigan roadside repair bags and animal carriers. Get yours today, Hoonigan.com. While supplies last, all orders $50 or more.
Sick. So let's just go around the exterior.
We have spent a lot of time on the front air dam. You can see that that's not stock. We've actually brought it to wind tunnels and tested to get the right shape, because that's actually a very important part down there, how the air comes in and hits it, and actually this little flaring here gets the wind to go around the tire.
Yeah, you want to run these massive front tires. It's a 315?
Yes, and 335 in the back. We've tried to keep all the little details on the car, like the Z28 and the Camaro, even down to the rain gutters. It really kind of gives it a stock look. You know, the aerodynamics of the car make it challenging for the really high-speed stuff we do, but we make up for it as best we can, mainly with horsepower, but also with putting on a special rear wing and small details, like even this little ledge in the back makes a big difference with the aerodynamics. You can see we actually have quite a bit of adjustment we can do to it. You know, obviously, the more you put it up, the more traction you get in the rear, but the more it slows it down. So, you know, we'll try to put it down as low as we can for the speed until it becomes unstable.
Yeah, I can't imagine. These cars, yeah, this is a brick flying through the air.
As they say with these cars, it actually matters more the shape of the rear of the car than the front.
And this is also for strictly for top speed.
Yeah,
stuff.
that's strictly for top speed stuff. This is something that the SCTA and Bonneville people wanted us to install, just a stabilizer to try to keep you straight at high speeds.
And you do have still steel bumpers, and you got these, you got dual chutes, because when you're going that fast.
Yes, when you're going over 250, they like you to have two chutes, not just one. In case one fails, and just also having two just slows you down that much quicker.
Is this still registered by chance as being a street
Yes,
car?
this actually still does have the VIN number, and we still register it, and we still pay for the registration. And, you know, the tube chassis was built into the car. It was purchased as a 69 Camaro, and it's still the same car since the beginning.
No, that's fair enough. So let's check out your office. So is this to reinforce the windshield?
Yeah, it is. As we started doing speeds over 250, the crew became concerned that we may actually have an issue of the windshield coming in on me. They built these very slick braces down the middle.
And then, so this is a NASCAR layout for a cage.
It is. The car was originally built by Bill Osborne. He built race cars for a living. He did style it after a NASCAR type frame. But the difference really was that, you know, we wanted a 69 Camaro, so he started with a 69 Camaro and then added the bars. This is really more of a customized Camaro than a NASCAR style.
I think we kind of covered the outside, the inside. I think we're probably ready to go to the motor. RJ, you gonna leave?
You know, at this point, I'm going to turn you over to my crew. They're really the experts on all the details of this car, which are many, and I've given you the history of it, and enjoy.
Awesome, thank you. So RJ stepped out, and he left here Mark and Tim to talk about all the other stuff with the car. Let's talk about the real thing that people are gonna be most excited about, to be honest.
The real thing here is just the ProCharge 555. We run a blow-through carburetor on it. It's a one-off carburetor from Veyron Brothers Carb Shop. We run the crank-driven ProCharger through a CDS drive, which has got like rear-end quick-change gears in it, and that's how we'll overdrive or underdrive the blower. We always laugh. We say ProCharger makes 3 ProChargers. One you can put a tennis ball in, one you can put a softball in, and one you can wear for a hat. We have the softball, so we still have room to grow if we need to.
And you said you can change the gearing inside of it instead of a belt, instead of doing
The
pulleys.
drive has a set of quick change rear end gears in it. So we just have a box full of gear sets, and whatever final drive we want on the blower, we just swap the gear sets in it.
So no changing pulleys,
No
changing
pulleys,
belts.
no belts, no nothing. The fuel system, we got a 13.5 gallon Enderley pump, mechanical pump driven off a belt. A couple of custom built methanol tanks from Dave Ward specially for the 5 miles at Bonneville. We carry about 16. We ended up using about 5.5.
Nice.
5 miles. So we actually got some fuel economy out of it. With this.
I got that. Yeah, that's funny.
You can't play this in California. In our class that we run with this setup right now, we're not allowed any electronic engine management whatsoever. We can acquire all the data we want, but nothing can control anything in the engine or transmission, which I had several arguments about. So again, Dave Ward, the genius, he took a vacuum advanced distributor and backed it all around and made a canister that's actually a boost retard distributor. Because as these things come up on boost, we got to take timing out of the motor. And Dave came up with a distributor that actually retarded timing based on boost reference.
That sounds like some street racer magic right there.
It's like old school stuff,
Yeah.
you know, just I mean, when you look at this thing, you go, how does your brain work? Now, as for the cooling system on this, you'll notice there is no radiator. We run on methanol. Again, Tim, Dave, they've come up with this RCD tri-drive running off the cam that runs 2 mechanical KSC pumps like you'd see on a sprint car. And the whole joy to this thing is there's 55 gallons of water in the trunk of this thing.
That's just mind blowing. That the fuel's up front because you only need 5.5 gallons.
Right. The 55 gallon, I'll just call it a tank today.
Yeah.
Because it's capable of holding 55 gallons of water. We'll pump water up through 2 Stewart electric pumps at the bottom of the tank here, up through the motor to the KSE pumps. The KSEs take it over, put it through the motor, and bring it back here to the tank, and that's our cooling. It's also a couple of 100 pounds of ballast way back over the back axle. You know, I know all these kids these days think burnouts are just king, but we don't like to see tire smoke because that's mile per hour.
He's making fun of us.
18 quarts of oil, you know, in dry sump system. When this car gets transformed back into road racing mode or open road racing mode, this bladder comes out of here and turns into a fuel cell. So we've got a couple of lines over here that run up through the rocker panels, back up to the motor. Right now they vent the fuel tanks. When we go back to road racing mode, that's a supply and return back over here. So back here, they come back to the tank. Up in the front, they go back to the injection.
They multitask.
Yeah.
Depending on what we're doing.
We try to make everything on this car do 2 things, you know, besides go fast.
I mean, this car really can do anything. It's one car to do everything.
How many times have we been places and people walk up to you and go, how many of these cars do you guys really have? There's only
Just
one.
one.
You said it was a 555 displacement.
555 Brodex.
And then generally by the boost, how much compression is it running on the motor? How much CFM is that carburetor flowing? Or is this all top secret stuff?
I'm not at will to give that answer. I'll just tell you it's a giant Dominator carburetor that's even had a little additional work done on it on top of that. We try to run it between 17 and 23 pounds. We've done probably as much as 26 when we were throwing a Hail Mary at it.
Anywhere between like 1,400 and 2,000 horsepower, depending on what we're going and track conditions and that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Holly does all the data management. Racepack does all of the EGTs and O2s. I run a Rossler 4L80 T6, a Terminator 6 that Carl's been working with us on since we bought it. A 0.75 overdrive, and we really don't have to worry about changing transmissions.
Well, I think it's time to put it up on the lift and check out what's going on underneath.
So this is basically a Trans Am car from 1983 with a steel 69 body on it. The chassis is very straightforward, double A-arm front, coilover rack and pinion with a forward-facing strut rod. At that point in time, they were kind of switching over to Chevelle-type rear steer cars, but because of the big block and the motor setback, there was no way to do that without getting in the way of headers and stuff. So it's a Ford-style suspension from 69 on. It's a lower Ford-style arm, typical stock car type sway bar and strut rod. There's no room in this car left for anything. We've used every square inch of everywhere to put stuff. But these are still the stock 69 Camaro floor pans. And this is the 2x3 frame rail from the Trans Am cars. And you can see it was cut and the body fit right. The chassis was all built and the body was split and set down over it. The body's completely welded to the
This
Trans
is
Am.
it. They're
This is
married.
They're married. It does not come apart. We have two different style transmissions, 4-speed for Pikes Peak and road racing, and the 4L80Es, straight line speed stuff. The 4-speed one's much short. This one's more exotic because the transmission's further back. It has completely encased drive shaft, front and rear, and this one's actually held in completely by the frame in the back. This style rear suspension is very much a 4-link drag race style. 2 bars going for each side, a long panhard bar in the middle. And if you notice here, here's the alternator way back here.
Oh, what?
Because there's no place to put it in the front.
That totally makes sense. Didn't even realize that until now.
And we can watch the voltage from the time he rolls off and starts building speed, and then it starts charging. And just enough to maintain the ignition stuff. And then in the rear, we still have our Penske shocks, double adjustable with nitrogen canisters. And we have Bear brakes on all 4 corners. Bear's been great to us for years. These are all 14 by 1 3/8 rotors, large, all 6-piston calipers. When we rebuilt it, they came on board and they've been on there ever since. This was their 2nd generation 6-piston stuff, and it was the first set they made, and they were kind enough to put our name right on the caliper. And we still use this lower style link. We still use the brackets here, but the 3-link is mounted up here on top of the axle housing in this empty hole.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it comes back up to this hole here.
Gotcha.
And then we have the sway bar, which we use in the straight line setup, and in some certain road race combinations, we can still use the same sway bar. You can see the exhaust pipes are full length. They go from the collector clear out the back of the car. It helps this turbulence that's going on back here. It kind of blows it. When this thing is running on boosted all, you can't put your hand here.
This car weighs 4,000 pounds in this setup right here. 3,600 with driver to road race. We went to Bonneville with rolled off the scale at 4,600, and when we go back in October, we hope to be well over 5,600.
This car actually got into, do you want to talk about this? When the car got in a fire in 2016?
Hi, you want to see us cry on camera?
Well, I mean, it was heartbreaking because I remember seeing pictures of it on the internet. Only a year later, the car was back up and running.
Yeah, 4 months.
Oh, it was 4 months?
Yeah, 4 months we went and ran Mojave after the fire.
Yeah, and went faster than we've ever been before. When it all happened, we were all heartbroken and long faces and all that stuff.
Throwing up sick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know why. During the rebuild of the fire made a big mess out of the car. And all the sheet metal is exactly the same, except for the trunk lid. But all these fenders, all the valances, the doors, the roof, everything stayed the same. The fire made a big mess out of the car. The fire originated from a fuel leak. Our second engine was getting run on the dyno. They found the problem on the dyno. It was a little sheet metal bracket that held
Broken bolt.
Yeah, fuel a little tiny 1/4-inch bolt holding the fuel rail down, and it did this. Just the harmonics of the engine, we don't know, but it did exactly the same thing, exactly the same place. Needless to say, they're not 5, 6, or 1/4-inch bolts anymore. They're all welded bosses with through bolts, and
Yeah, they're in shear now instead of pull.
Yeah, instead of tension, they're in double shears. So 4 months after that, it was back to Mojave and breaking our own record, and this is what you see now.
We were very lucky there wasn't a lot more damage than there was.
You would never know, to be honest, by looking at this car right now. And thank you very much for bringing this by, because this car truly is an icon. It's influenced so many cars around the world. Everyone's super happy to see it. Everyone's glad that you guys will keep going at it. And yeah, I'm hoping for the 300.
300
miles an hour, why not?
300. Like we say, we're going big.
Nah, cool. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having us.